Colleges and universities are going big or they're going home. Yes, of course, in sports, but also in bonds. And this is our Muni moment, because according to Moody's, schools need to raise up to $950 billion over the next decade to maintain and upgrade campus facilities and infrastructure. These are capital improvements crucial in the race to lure the brightest and most promising students. Danielle Moran leads Muni bonds coverage for Bloomberg News, and she joins us now. So Danielle, those are some big numbers I just mentioned. Put some context around that almost $1 trillion of funds that Moody's estimates colleges need.
Yes, they are very large numbers, and ones that frankly surprised me when I saw the report. Higher ed issuance is around $22 billion this year, which is on pace for a record, like the rest of the muni market. Issuers are coming back after taking 2 years off because of higher interest rates, and they're back in the market full force. But for context, issuance in the muni market, which encompasses everything from states and cities to school districts and the MTA, is around $350 billion to $400 billion a year. So that estimate that Moody said for colleges and universities to be between $750 billion and $950 billion over a decade is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's eye-opening, and this is on top of colleges. I mean, I look at your coverage all the time. They've already sold tens of billions of dollars of debt this year already, and they're doing that to what, like build new dorms or build new facilities, and we're talking about, you know, a jump from there.
Exactly. The colleges are coming to market in waves. So you have Princeton, Harvard, Cornell, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Villanova. Those are all schools that have issued so far this year. Williams College just issued about $100 million of bonds for a new art museum and a recreation center. You have two schools in Pennsylvania, smaller colleges, Moravian and Muhlenberg, located just a couple miles from each other, that are both building new student centers. And the calculation here is that parents come to campus, they take tours with their kids, and they want to see fancy new beautiful buildings. And there's a real competition for students, and that's sort of what's at the crux of this, according to Moody's and according to bondholders, is you want to get the students on campus, you want the parents in most cases paying tuition, and to do that you have to incentivize them.
And also the parents want to see that because they're paying upwards of $90,000 a year in tuition, so it kind of like feeds on itself. The elite schools, you mentioned this fierce competition for students. The elite schools will always be flooded with applicants no matter what, but most colleges are not in that category, and they face what you call a demographic cliff, in which there are going to be a lot fewer students applying to colleges fairly soon.
That's true. There's an estimate that the college-age population will peak in around 2025. And that will mean that there's a smaller pie of students going to schools. So yes, the Ivies, the flagship public schools will always have demand, and they just keep growing. And what investors and rating agencies say is that the bifurcation between them and between the smaller, the liberal arts, the schools with a lot less demand, a lot less name recognition, will continue to get weaker. And they are also trying to compete. So they're taking on debt, and they're taking on more obligations to just sort of stay afloat.
Okay, they're taking on more obligations to stay afloat, but if they can't get the students interested who are going to pay the full freight tuition, then they start to run into trouble and not be able to service their debt. And you have also been following the schools that can't do that, right? Can't service their debt. A number of schools have already defaulted on payments. Where do things stand in terms of those numbers?
Yes, it's getting increasingly more difficult for smaller, weaker private schools generally to just operate in general and to pay bondholders. So there was data out earlier this month from Municipal Markets Analytics that say 15 institutions have disclosed either technical or payment defaults this year. That is on pace to be a record. It's only 2 impairments shy of last year, which was the most since at least 2009. And you don't necessarily have to be actually impaired on your debt to be struggling. So some schools are asking bondholders to borrow against their mortgage. Other schools are missing debt service covenant ratios. Some are drawing from their endowments. A school in Virginia that we covered drew almost a third of its endowment to pay for campus projects that they hope will get students into the school.
And also some of these universities have hospitals and medical centers attached, which also create their own challenges too.
Yes, it's no secret that healthcare has had a really tough couple of years. And for institutions with large academic medical centers, it bleeds into that. So earlier this year, we saw some ratings actions for USC, for Emory University, because their healthcare systems were underperforming, which hit the college bond ratings.
Oh, interesting, because you're talking about two schools that would fit into that elite category that would have no problem attracting students and families who pay the full tuition.
Exactly.